to our panel evaluation for speaker number 2, Annie Bai, and evaluator number 2, Glynis D'Souza. And we have 3 evaluators that will focus on different elements. First, we have Jane Harnadek, who is, of course, a member of my home club, Confidently Speaking Toastmasters. She has achieved her DTM, and the best piece of advice that she received is don't imitate someone else. Be you. Just polish and clean it up. Please welcome Jane Harnadek.
I cleared the obstacle course. Thank you, Madam G.E., fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, Annie. It is a privilege to evaluate you on the content of your speech, to all true heroes. The content was amazing. I thought I was going to have difficulties with it, but you have a very clear voice. So I did hear all 3 speeches. So that was really good. I liked how you opened with the question and you got our Mr. Toastmaster up dancing. The content about the first speech, I was kind of like, okay, where is she going with this? But when you took us around and showed us that it took one person to begin a dance, and that was powerful content, everybody followed. And in the second one, in Silicon Valley, and how excited you were, and the content of that, all the companies, and your friend, and all of a sudden he was leaving to start his own business. That's what Silicon Valley does to people. 2 distinct stories in the same ending. And of course your third story about how this club began, the roots, the growing pains that we're going to go through, very important in that context. We are not just witnesses, we are the enablers. You took all 3 stories, each with a different yet common core, and you tied them in and you really organized it really, really well. Let's see, because you joined in with one person who dared and others joined in. Glynis, great evaluation. I really, really liked it, but you did not tie in. In conclusion, what I wrote down about you was, I liked your way of evaluation. What I liked about your story, what I'm going to take away, and what I'm going to remember. I'm going to keep that in mind in my future evaluations. I like how you said in the turning point in the story about your friend and how you demonstrated to Annie a jaw-dropping moment. I feel body language and voice tone are paramount and so important in any speech we do and in any evaluation. So great job as an evaluator, Annie. Great job as our speaker, and Madam G.E.
Now to address delivery for speaker number 2 and evaluator number 2, we have Calvin Smith, who is also in my home club, Confidently Speaking Toastmasters. Calvin has completed his CCNSCL, and the piece of advice that he received, that he remembers, is to use less slides when giving a presentation and to practice more. Please welcome Calvin Smith.
Thank you, Madam G.E. I must say I'm intimidated by these fine speakers and DTMs that we have present this evening. Delivery. I had to look that up to figure out what delivery was all about. There are 4 methods of delivery when public speaking. Impromptu, manuscript, memorization, and extemporaneous. We want to get to the level of being extemporaneous. That is a combination that Annie Bai delivers each and every speech that she does. Annie's speeches, and tonight, you have a natural confidence now because of how many speeches you've done. Your body movements are very natural. You use the entire speaking area. Excellent eye contact. You actually make I know how hard that you work on your speeches and how often you will rehearse them. You now have got to the point where you are speaking like it's impromptu, as though every thought just comes out of your mind, as though you're confident and know your subject. That did not feel to me as a prepared speech at all. That is all I have to say to you. For the evaluator, you also display the natural speaking and use of the room, use of the speaking area, great eye contact. I really have nothing to add to your speaking skills. I hope to rise to both of your levels. Thank you very much.
And now to address language is Brennan, who we all know is our District 86 evaluation champion. And Brian comes from the Towns of York Aurora Toastmasters Club. He is a DTM. The best piece of advice or evaluation comment he received that has helped him is to remember to engage in conversation with the audience. Don't lecture them. Please welcome Brennan.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Annie. This is a little different just talking about language. I want to get drawn into a whole bunch of things, but in terms of the way you use the language, I have a whole bunch of things that were good and some suggestions for you. You use descriptive language quite well, and I'll give you some examples of that. Ironically, I just saw this little film today of that individual dancing, and I remember the chubby guy in the black shirt. And you used that very descriptively. In my mind, it was embedded. Chubby guy, black shirt. I really liked the way you used that. The other time that you used something that was very descriptive for me was when the light bulb moment. You could have said, I had a great idea, or there was something that came to mind, but instead you said the light bulb moment. That put it in my mind forever. I knew exactly what you meant. It meant there was a great idea, there was so much more to it. I found a couple of times there was an abruptness to your language. Sometimes it was the tone that was abrupt, sometimes it was just the wording. So I would say a good example of that was, do you agree with me? Perhaps an alternative to that is, what do you think? Would have had actually even more impact, delivered a little more softly, and it would have had the impact that you were looking for. Economy of words. There were some phrases you probably could have used a few less words. For instance, how come so many entrepreneurs? Why not just say why? It means the same thing. The language is a little bit better. You save a little bit of time as well. The next item is you had some visceral words. Well, obviously guts is a pretty visceral word, but when you use those kind of words, to me, I really connected with it because it was a gutty sort of comment, and I appreciate when that's the case. The other thing you used with your language is you repeated the tipping point. There were 2 points at which you used the tipping point. One was the tipping point when you were referring to Silicon Valley. The second time was with the formation of this club. You were saying critical moment, and I think you used tipping point well and made the point exceptionally well produced for me. So thank you for that, and I hope those are helpful suggestions for you. Glynis, you're conversational, and that's what I liked about your evaluation. I felt like you were talking to me. Your opening might have gone a little bit longer than I would have liked to see. You preambled a little bit, but overall I thought that didn't damage the quality of the evaluation at all. And the fact that you were in conversation with not only me but everyone else was a kudo to you, so thank you for that.